Okay. All right. Here we go. This is TLDR. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. It says chip shortage spirals beyond cars, to phones and consoles. This is by Bloomberg. You can easily find this link. Just you can Google it. But basically, what this is saying is the chip shortage has gotten so bad that companies that use these chips in cars are getting first dibs. People that are like companies that are using them in phones, more likely the iPhone, they're getting the chips first, and it's one of the main reasons why people are not getting these consoles, and there's been a shortage as far as just not just in store, but just producing them. And Sony and Xbox and even the Nintendo Switch are having a real problem getting these consoles out. It all started with the pandemic and not many people working or whatever. And most of these chips do come from China and other places in the Asian market. So with that being said, everything was just slowed down. Now things are starting to pick back up because everything is flipped around since the pandemic. But all these other companies, Apple is a big company in China, and a lot of cars that are made over there, they're getting first dibs on a lot of these chips. So therefore, even though some of these consoles are made over there as well, you're looking at a situation where Sony and Xbox, particularly Xbox, they're looking at a situation where they're going up against like giants like Apple. I mean, you're talking about a company that's trying to make, let's say for Sony, they're trying to make 14 million consoles just to sell for the fiscal year, compared to iPhones where they're trying to get out like 144 million iPhones because everybody has an iPhone over a console. So those chips are going to them because, first of all, they're closer to where they're manufactured and the demand is higher. So it's becoming a real problem. And I know, DJ, you said this before, where it may be until the fall where we see consoles like just stocked in the stores. They said this here that it may be a situation where we may not see consoles in the stores until 2022 at the earliest. I don't know how you feel about that, but I do want your thoughts and let me know what you think about that.
Well, my thought still stands as far as when we'll see consoles in stores, but I did previously hear that they were talking about, and even without even mentioning the chip shortage, that they were talking about consoles not being readily available up until 2022. So I'm not surprised. How do I feel about it? I have my gaming PC. I have my old gaming PC, and I have my PS4 Pro. It's not going to affect me individually, but I know there are others that are still hunting down the PS5s and the Series X's and S's and stuff like that, to people who are looking to update the newest cell phones. Like the Galaxy S21 just came out recently. So far without a hitch. I haven't heard anything there.
Yeah, but I don't think that one in particular is going to be a problem. And it may not.
No. I get that. I was just saying that, I was actually going to get to that further down the road, like 6 months later, when we get
the 22 or the
22, the
21 plus, right?
Yeah. So when you're looking there, then you're talking about they're gonna run into those shortages where the consoles already ran into the shortage. So right. I think with the individual chipsets, I know I discussed previously on previous episodes about how COVID and everything. You brought it up just to summarize that COVID in this pandemic, and hopefully these rollouts of these vaccines. But unfortunately, we're also looking at the COVID variants that could complicate things and slow things down. So with restrictions on shipping and restrictions on just travel as a whole,
labor as well.
Yeah, it's definitely harder and harder to get the pieces made. And it's like, I think some people think they're made in the same spot. No, a lot of times when they're putting together a console, they're getting like a part from China, a part from Taiwan, a part from, the UK or whatever, and they're combining it to create either the console or the cell phone. So you have all these restrictions in place.
But I mean that may be the case. I mean, more likely it is. But when you have like the main thing that's needed to run, like the computer chips in it, are short, it doesn't matter where you get the other parts from, even though that's going to be curtailed because of the, like you said, travel. But even if you get all the parts, the chips are being shorted from these other companies. So it's like it's almost like it's coming from like what, maybe 4 or 5 different ways where it's a problem for these consoles. I came through and I looked at a couple of parts on here, and I'm just gonna paraphrase a few of these things. It says, led by Huawei, Chinese imports of chips of all kinds climbed to 380 billion, making almost 1/5 of the country's overall imports. Now that's just the imports. I don't know who's making them or where they're making them from, but I know most of the stuff is made in the Asian market. Rivals, including Apple, worried about their own caches, responded in kind. At the same time, stay-at-home era spurred sales of the home appliances, from the costliest TVs to the lowest air purifiers. Now think about that. Now I just talked about phones and consoles. Now they're talking about chips that need to be put in home appliances, and from TVs to air purifiers. So now we're looking at a possibly shortage of a lot of things, like you said. Not only just the next Galaxy phone, but look at other stuff that uses this technology. I mean, we don't know anything about it now because it didn't hit us, but everybody mostly stayed at home last year. So the stockpile that we got from last year to now was from stuff from 2019 or early 2019. I mean, early 2020. Now you're looking at stuff that's going to be pushed out in late 2021 is the stuff that's supposed to be produced around the time that the pandemic was.
Just the funny part. See, that's why they encourage folks over here to buy American, so we can already be in practice just in case this shit were to happen. Now that this shit is happening, but we're not in practice, now it's like there's a mad scramble to get people in practice. And again, with the restrictions in place, like you talked about a second ago with labor, now you're like scrambling for labor that may or may not be there.
Right. And they said, Will Bright says there's a chips stockpiling arms race, which includes custom chips using headphones and keyboards. Now that's another thing we just talked about. They just talked about home appliances, the air purifiers. Now we're talking about chips that need to be in headphones and keyboards. Now all these wireless devices, that the wireless headphones, the wireless keyboards, they use chips. So that's how they run. So it says all that did was dry up the spigot for smaller volume buyers in the market, such as cars and gaming consoles. So that's back to what I was saying. The big players, the people who making the phones, because most people have phones, and all these other places like regular appliances that need to go in all these houses, they're going to get this stuff first. Now, yeah, we talk about the gaming industry and we talk about games and all that. We make it seem like it's one really, really big thing. You got to understand, it's big business because the revenue they make, not necessarily what is actually put out there as far as sold. I think in some cases, like the PS4 is sold over 100 million, and I think the Xbox was maybe somewhere around 60. Now just put those two together. I think the Switch is also 100. Now put those three together. That's almost 400 million consoles within a span of 8 years since they were made. Mm-hmm. Y'all gotta understand those over 100 million per year as soon as the new one comes out. So you're talking about 100 million consoles for the PlayStation over an 8-year span. Now going compared to the Apple iPhone that sells 100 million per year, you kind of see what's more a priority. So like companies like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, they're having problems actually making consoles, and not only that was already a short supply because of everything that's happened. Now you're talking about parts of the consoles, just because I think it was more like labor was the reason why these consoles didn't come out early, right? Because they was just trying to push them out at the last second because they didn't have the manpower like they normally have because of the pandemic. But now it's because you don't have like the parts. So it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think. You said fall. You standing by it. I'm with you as well. I got a gaming PC. I still got my PS4 Pro. I even got an Xbox One. Quiet as kept. Truth be told, a lot of these games are still going to be coming out for these last generation consoles. So if you really want to play these games, you're not missing out on much. And on top of that, some of these games are coming out on the new consoles. It's not too many real exclusives that's really not going to be on PC. I think the first one right now is Ratchet and Clank about to come out. That's not going to be on PC. It's Ratchet and Clank. And
I'm about to say, the most foolish thing I heard yesterday on Twitter, it was because Little Nightmares 2 just came out today. You know what one person said? It was your boy Jack Move. I'll wait until the PS5 version comes out. I'm like, it's not going to be a big difference between the two. Waiting for the
it's Little Nightmares. I mean, there's no.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
it's almost like I'm going to wait till Cuphead come out on PC. It's like there's no graphical difference. But that's another situation for another day.
Look. All I know is that the overall message is to take hold of what you have right now and stay pat until everything gets straightened out. Like I have this S9 Plus, been sticking with this, even though they don't support it no more. But don't care, it still works.
Right, I got the S10 Plus, so I'm not trying to. Right. Yeah, exactly, you can still get 4K images off of it, so we're good.
I'm like my graphics card, 1660 Ti. I can get things near 4K, but I don't care about high resolution. I got a 1440p monitor. I can get 60 frames per second. I just changed a couple of settings in the computer to get NBA 2K to run at like 1440 60. So I'm good there. And I mean across the board, cutscenes and everything, it looks buttery smooth. So I don't care.
And see that's the thing. See with my PC, I can run 4K 60 on high settings with everything. But what I did was, my wife likes my 4K monitor, so she has the 4K monitor. So I have two 1080p monitors here. This one is 144 hertz. This one here is 75 hertz, and I have a 4K TV on the wall. So I can move around whatever I want to get whatever I need. And it's like graphics cards is another thing, because all this stuff with crypto mining, it's hard to get graphics cards now. Like you can't even get a 580. Excuse me, you can't even get a 580 right now for less than $200, and that's insane. That's like a $79 card. But the fact that everybody's crypto mining now, those cards are going up 3 times the price. And I'm like, well, I'm glad I got my 5700, because the 6800 is not available. 6900, like the newer ones right after mine, is not available, and the 5700 is almost a $500 card now. I was like, why? But we know why. But like I said, I'm good where I am, and anybody else, if you have a PlayStation 4 Pro, if you have an Xbox One X, you're good for right now. Don't try to kill yourself trying to get one of these new consoles unless you get a really good price. Go for it, but just be prepared to not have these in store, because that's basically what I've been waiting for. I just been wanting these consoles to become in store, and that's when I will buy one, because I don't like I just don't like chasing things down to buy. I don't like going through the menu and it's a limited supply, hurry up and buy. I don't like doing stuff like that. So I didn't even try when it started. So hopefully they'll be in the stores. I'm not in no rush. I would hate for Gran Turismo 7 come out right now or anytime within the next 6 months. I will be really pissed. Now that will make me mad, because I really want Gran Turismo 7, but I mean, I'll live. You got anything else you want to add to that, DJ?
Nah, I really don't have anything else. Like I said, just stick with what you have right now till everything holds over. And I will say to anybody, because State of Franchise just said he has a regular PS4, And and that crying emoji. Yeah, you better cry over that because
don't get Cyberpunk. And we about to talk about that in a minute. But don't get Cyberpunk if you got a PS4.